Did we win the battle with Iran? Is it all over? Was it really that easy? Stay tuned, you'll hear my rant, and we'll figure it out. Hey folks, welcome to Set Apart Homestead, the prepared homestead. This is Travis. So today is just a rant. Don't have any factual information, I guess, or something new to bring to you. It's just a rant. And it's about this whole thing with Iran. Now, I'm sure most of you know what's going on, so I don't know that I really need to bring you up to speed with anything. But, my gut feeling on this is that there is a lot more going on than what we know. There is just, it seems to me, no possible way that we defeated this, that we caused this to end so quickly and so effortlessly. And that's the thing that I want to talk about. What is really going on here? So I want to encourage already for you folks to start commenting below because, I'm not saying that I have all the information or the greatest ideas and theories. So keep the conversation going down below and let's talk about this. So basically, as all you already know, we have Iran, or a terrorist group funded, supported, and led by Iran, come in and attack our embassy. Then we retaliate and we take out their top general. Of course, there's all these threats after that. They're going to bomb us. They're going to attack this and that. We're going to attack and retaliate. We call up troops to send over there, ships, battleships and destroyers, planes, all that. I mean, it looks like the war is about ready to happen. World War III is on. And then they retaliate again to punish us for killing their top general. And basically they drop a few rockets on a pretty much uninhabited base at that point because they gave us a 3-hour warning so that we could evacuate our troops. And then that was it. There was almost no damage whatsoever, very, very minimal damage. And, the president says, hey, if you want to, call us a truce and call it peace, then we're good to go. And pretty much they agree to that. Now, unless there's something else going on here, which I suspect there is, that was really easy. And, I try not to allow myself to go too far off the deep end on, conspiracy theories and everything. But those of you that watch this are pretty woke people. You're pretty aware of kind of looking beyond things and reading between the lines. And of all the things that I can remember in my lifetime that happened on an international or national stage, that there was probably other things going on behind the scenes, this one to me is the most blatantly obvious. So let me break it down. First off, let's take Iran. Now, I know that, online, people are making fun of Iran, making fun of their military. I've seen pictures of, guys in little junky biplanes or riding a camel, and they're like, that's the Iranian military. Actually, that's not true. Do the research. Comparatively, for the Middle East, Iran has a pretty formidable military. In fact, they spend more money annually than the Israelis do on their military. They have a fairly large military, and while it's nothing compared to ours or, say, Russia, for Middle Eastern standards, they have a pretty modern and well-equipped military. In fact, just a few years ago, they came out with a new tank that I believe, if my information was correct, they have over 2,000 of them. And it is considered one of the most advanced military tanks on the planet right now. So these guys are not just a bunch of, Middle Ages, 10th century kind of ragtag group. I mean, these guys, they've got a fairly modern military to the point that they are actually over the last several years have been pulling money from other parts of their budget and dumping it into the military. They've really increased their military spending quite a bit over the last few years. They are probably the most influential country within the Middle East. They support terrorism more than probably any other country. They're probably the largest state-sponsored terrorist nation. So there's a lot of things going on there. They have publicly for years talked about how much they hate us, how they hate Israel, how they're going to, bomb us and do all these things. And then all of a sudden, because we take out one guy, it's pretty much over. Now, I know a lot of people want to boast that, well, that just shows how good the president is and how strong the American military is and how that we brought them down to their knees in fear. But I'm just not buying that. Because on the surface, if you look at what happened, just as what we know, it makes Iran look like the biggest bunch of wimps on this planet. Really, I mean, it makes them look just ridiculous. That they make all these threats and then they back down so easily. And the thing that they did to retaliate against the killing of their top general was just almost nothing. It was pathetic. I mean, the Palestinians do more to Israel than what they did to us. It was really ridiculous. And then, of course, there's this commercial jet that was shot down, and it was an accident. It was just an accident. It makes me wonder who was on that plane, actually. And so because they accidentally shot down one of their, a commercial jet, and then what they did to retaliate to us is so minimal, it's making them look pretty ridiculous, I feel. It's making them look like the biggest bunch of wimps on the planet that don't have it together. And I know many people say, well, that's just what they are. They're a primitive, unorganized, untrained military. But that's not true, actually. They're not that. They have I'm not trying to put them on the same level as the United States military, but they have a very formidable, well-trained military. And so for this to happen and play out like it's played, although I don't know what's going on, I'm very suspicious and suspect that there's definitely more going on. I've heard people say that it's, this happened to kind of help bolster the president into getting reelected. And while he certainly can use this to boost his poll numbers and to use this as a tool when it comes to the campaign and to the election, I can't imagine that the Iranians would play into that just so that he could get reelected. I know that he looks good compared to, what's going on with the left and the Democrats, and it's going to make it difficult for them to use this whole Iranian thing and the whole taking out of this general. It's going to make it difficult for them to use that against him when it comes to campaigning because, his plan worked. It's scared them so much. It knocked the wind out of them so much that they backed down and complied. But I'm just not buying that that's what it is. I mean, think of it this way. Let's say North Korea comes over and they assassinate one of our, let's say, either the vice president or the Speaker of the House. Let's say that North Korea does that. Do you think that we're going to drop a few rockets in an area that we've notified them ahead of time to evacuate and then call it good and then walk away? Not hardly. We wouldn't do that, and no other country would do that. They started it. We retaliated, definitely in a tough way. And they made all these threats of what they were going to do, and then almost immediately backed down. I believe that definitely Russia is involved. There was a lot of movement during that time, those few days of us taking out Soleimani, and between that point and the time that the Iranians retaliated, Vladimir Putin was doing a lot of traveling around, unexpectedly and unusually, from what I've read, going to Syria, going to Turkey. I don't know how that plays into it exactly, but I suspect that there's going to be more happening. Does that mean that we've got some terrorist attacks in the future? What exactly does that mean? I believe that Iran definitely plays a very central role in global conflict and global affairs between us and our allies and between Russia and its allies. And without going into this for this video, I believe it's also very biblical. For those of you that don't know, Iran is Persia, and Persia is talked about a lot. And so I think that there's a whole lot more going on there. I wish I knew. And maybe some of you have some good theories. And so I invite you to please leave those theories below in the comments, and let's try to get some discussions going, because there's no way you're going to tell me that the most powerful, most influential, and biggest sponsor of terrorism in the Middle East is going to back down just because we took out one guy. Never in history of us taking out any type of terrorist leader has that group or organization just backed down. They didn't just give up, and that's basically what happened. They gave up, and it's making them look ridiculous. And I am quite confident in saying that the Iranians do not want to look that way. They don't want to look weak. They don't want to look like they just gave up and bowed down to us. So whether there's a conspiracy between the Americans and the Iranians working together behind closed doors, or the Iranians are just sitting back and waiting for the right moment to strike, I don't know. But you're not going to make me believe that simply doing that one thing knocked so much wind out of them that they're now okay with looking like the biggest cowards and wimps on the planet, because that's exactly what they look like right now. And so there's definitely has to be something else going on. And I try to think rationally and logically so that I'm not trying to read more into something than what it is. But I cannot think of another situation, at least in the last couple of decades, where it was so blatantly obvious that there's got to be something else going on, because there's just no way it could have ended that quickly and that simply. So anyways, let me know what you think, because I'm sure many of you have your own theories, and you probably even have some evidence or some information that I don't have available, even though I try to check often and see what I can find. So let me know what you think, what is really going on with Iran, and where you think this is headed. All right, thank you all for watching, and I'll catch you in the next video.